The history of how we got here is complicated, extensive, and time consuming. It would take a vast amount of time and resources to sort through. But with that being said, I'm going to summarize the major events and try and get a better understanding of this matrix. I am only going to deal with verifiable histories and biblical accounts, so I won't be dealing with Darwin and his made-up evolution. I'm trying to expose the matrix, so I'm going to start with a biblical figure named Nimrod. We first encounter Nimrod in the Table of Nations in the Old Testament of the Bible. He is described as a son of Cush and grandson of Ham, who was one of the three sons of Noah. Cush is the father of the ancient Ethiopians. There are only 7 verses in the Bible that mention Nimrod. Only a few verses, but he casts a huge shadow in history. Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord. His kingdom was Babel, Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. And according to historians, which concur with the Bible, this is where civilization starts. As we see here on the map. It should be noted that in ancient times, this area would not be considered the Middle East, as the term Middle East is a relatively new construct created between 1850 and 1902. The overall census here, though, is that this is when and where religion was created. You see, prior to this, there was never an idea of religion. There was culture and lifestyles. And though the Tower of Babel story gets very little airplay in modern Christianity, it is one of the most significant events in the whole Bible. This is also where you hear of Nimrod. This is where the languages are manifested. But more importantly, this is where the mystery religions get their start. The mystery religions play a big part in where we are today. So I'm going to take a little time just to lay out the basics. Mystery religions are religions centered on secret or mystical rites where initiates are shown the mystery while the common layperson is left in the dark. It is an occult system, usually based on a trilogy containing a father deity, a mother deity, and a child prodigy. The very first recorded trilogy was that of the aforementioned Nimrod, his wife Semiramis, and their son Tammuz. This would be the template for all the religions we see, even up to today. In Egypt, you had Osiris, Isis, and Horus, or Osar, Aset, and Haru. In India, you had Isi and Iswara. In Asia, it was Shingmu and son. The ancient Greco-Roman Irene and Plutus, and on and on and on. Most historians describe this as the beginning of sun worship. I disagree. The people responsible for these amazing monoliths and structures were far too sophisticated to believe the sun in heaven was God. Maybe they sold that to the common folks, but the scribes and the elite were dealing with an entirely different energy, as they still are today. Like a virus, these religions spread throughout the known world, corrupting everything it touched. As we track these mysteries, we see they finally come to a head in Rome during the 2nd and 3rd centuries, culminating in 325 AD with Constantine calling for the Council of Nicaea, and later declaring Christianity as the state religion. Prior to that, you had all kinds of worship systems in the world. They were all control systems designed to keep the people mesmerized and brainwashed. During this time, Christianity wasn't forced on people. Far from it. You were allowed to worship whatever God you saw fit. Christianity was just being recognized, and its worshipers were free to worship in the open. In reality, the Christianity that people held prior to 325 AD will be nothing like the Christianity after 325 AD. In fact, the only reason Christianity was made the state's religion is because by the time it made it through all these ecclesiastical conferences, it too was a mystery religion. You see the vestiges today in the Vatican with Catholicism. Yet, with all of this as a backdrop, you're dealing with wars and inquisitions, the colonization of Africa, both religiously and resource stealing, including the slave trade. And a particular bloodline slowly usurping the entire globe process. What would make us think those powers then would ever relinquish that power? For example, most of the wars in Europe, especially after the fall of Rome, were family wars. Brother versus brother, and family versus family. They married each other, so the power never strayed far from the names. These particular families have been in power since at least the 1st century AD, when Godfrey de Bouillon was elected as the first white ruler of Jerusalem. This same Godfrey is an ancestor of the Bush family and was actually of mixed mulatto heritage, as most were. That's another video. We have to start being more aware of what's playing out right before our very eyes. The Knights Templar, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, the Zionists. These groups run the entire world. Now, most of the members of these groups are no more aware to truth than you and I. It doesn't work that way. It's not a whole group thing. It's never an entire government, religion, race, or system. What they do is place one of their members in powerful positions in governments, religious institutions, Hollywood, science, education, big pharma, and medicine, and pull strings from the inside. They have lobbyists and big money to move their agendas. They have gatekeepers for the left, gatekeepers for the right, and anything in between. They have black gatekeepers. They have white gatekeepers. For those of you who don't know, a gatekeeper is a person who controls your access to and knowledge of a given situation. They pretty much steer our emotions and tell us what to think about a given situation. So it's easy to see the media is the number one gatekeeper. Gatekeepers can act outraged and say all the right things to get you on board and riled up. The problem is we constantly listen to what they say, but we don't pay attention to what they do. If your hero or heroine is in the mainstream media or has access to millions of people, he or she is more than likely a gatekeeper. These powerful people will never allow someone truly bent on exposing their bullshit any access to large crowds. Think about it. They control the media. This subject is so large. Seriously, this is going to require a part 2. which I will be putting together soon to fill in the blanks. I just wanted to give an overall outline. We're at a pivotal time in history. This is not a time to be arguing about information, but sharing information. This isn't the time to get caught up in the group think dynamic. It's okay to listen to the information and not join the group. You must keep going. You must keep growing. I mean, really, this is absolutely a great time to be alive if your spirit is right. Don't fear anything, but observe everything. If it doesn't seem right, probably isn't. Just remember, stay woke, stay up, and stay out the way. Peace.